I'm growing marijuana in my yard. Growing marijuana in my yard. I got little pots of pipe spread out all over the lot, 'cause I'm growing marijuana in my yard.
Hello to all our friends, both old and new. My name is Xandor, the Antichrist.
And I'm Mrs. Z, and you're listening to The Grow Report on the dopefiend.co.uk network of shows.
The Grow Report is your news and information show for the medical gardener and the medical user.
We will talk politics with passion and provide you with news and information important to you, the medical marijuana advocate. Welcome
to show 110.
Yeah.
Even though that says 109.
Well, that was from last week. I didn't update that.
See, you don't update. I update. I work on staying current, and this is what you give me?
Well, it was just the intro, so I didn't work on it. Sorry. My bad.
The Antichrist will curse you.
Oh, yes. Well, my mother was right. I married the Antichrist.
Yeah. Yep. You're going to get me a t-shirt and everything.
Oh, okay.
Yep, wear it to family dinners. Yes, I am the Antichrist. Fuck you.
Your family will be so pleased.
Yeah, only 2 of them. Fuck them anyway. Oh, my goodness gracious. Welcome. It is 1010.
No, not 1010. 110.
110. See, you fuck me up by doing that. This is your fault.
Of course.
And you did it on purpose.
I did it on purpose. You got it.
I know. Well, actually, we don't have a lot of time to play around. We do have, we've got about a half-hour grow segment for you.
Yep.
We're going back to doing projects again, and we have several projects that'll probably take us through to the end of the year.
Definitely.
I have a really good phone interview that I did with Casey Cassidy with the movie Green Rush.
Mm-hmm.
So if you guys haven't checked it out, it's at Green Rush, greenrushmovie.com, I believe.
Cool.
Is the website. So, greenrushmovie.com is their website. It's free. You can watch it on Hulu. I think there's even a whole bunch of places on YouTube where they've got other scenes that were deleted from the final movie. It's only an hour long. It's not going to take a lot of your time. But really, it's worth a view. It's a good movie. They've done an excellent project, very professional. They painted, had as many on both opinions, but primarily it's a movie that's intended to show medical marijuana patients in California basically where your medicine comes from and the people who are growing it for you. They're not drug lords. They're not Mexican mafia. These are people just like myself and Mrs. Z, but they own property on their own properties, 100 acres plus in the forest, just as we own our property here, but not that much by any stretch.
Well, no, not by any stretch.
But they grow on their own land, so they're not growing on federal property, which is good, and they're doing it on their own land, their own money, their own time, but yet there's still a huge price that they have to pay. The price in fear, the price in rippers, and the movie does a really good job at showing you that. Even though the growers by right were covered with colored bandanas, they have every right to fear federal prosecution,
sure.
Even if their plant count is under 100 even.
Right.
And it's their own stuff. They have every right to fear and protect themselves. Mrs. Z and I don't do the photo thing, and
right.
I know a lot of other people don't like their pictures out there. We all have very large fears that we live with about the police violating our constitutional rights and then telling us so we can do it because we want to.
Right.
You know, these are the things that sheriffs and police still do. They still bust medical marijuana patients, whether you have a license or one joint or one plant. They're going to bust you. They're going to arrest you. They're going to try to get you a conviction, even though the district attorney may kick the case out. You're going to spend 2 to 3 days in jail, and you're going to spend upwards of $10,000 of your own money just to protect yourself from these from these legal pig thugs.
Right.
And the movie does a good job showing you some of that, so maybe you can understand a little bit more what some of these people go through. He follows an entire grow for a season, so it was a really good thing.
Good.
I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the interview with him, and I hope you guys check out the movie. This is the interview with the people from GreenRushMovie.com, and told you about it, so now you get to listen to it. In today's show, as a very special for you, we have the producer / director.
I'm the story producer and director of photography.
There you go. Right. For the movie Green Rush, the movie is with us today. And we get to do we can make as long of a interview as we want to get it across, and I think a lot of people, in my opinion, need to watch this movie. I rewatched part of it again this morning myself, because I really liked the ending, because in my opinion, the way I felt is I sympathized with the people who were ripped off far more than I would feel sorry for anyone. To me, I took away from your whole project that it shows people in California who go into medical dispensaries, and you're whining and crying because, an eighth of Kush is $50, and that's a good price to some, when some think it should be a lot less, and it's hard to argue. And then when you watch movies like this, you find out how truly exposed these people are. You find out how dangerous their day-to-day life is, and yeah, they're growing medical marijuana, but their card doesn't really truly give us, any of us, true protection, even with our own Patient X garden that we've brought back to life this year. And it's really makes an excellent statement, I thought. Is that what you were going for?
Definitely. We wanted to show what's really going on out here. That took actually bringing the cameras into the pop fields for the duration of an outdoor grow season.
And now everybody in this...
their misfortune ended up being great for filmmaking, but we suffered that pain along with them, because we saw from clone to clipping, we saw that garden mature as well. So we were just as heartbroken.
And myself being in the same age bracket as the two, Mrs. Z and I, we... Hi,
Mrs. Z.
I could... she's laying down. She's not feeling well.
Okay.
But I will pass that on to her. We felt their pain as well, and I thought you did an excellent job showing us their pain without making it look like pity. Does that make sense?
Yeah, one of the challenges in our film, since we concealed the growers' faces using bandanas,
which is perfectly. Mrs. Z and I don't do camera work.
Well, yeah, getting them to show emotion with a bandana on was difficult, and
their voices, I
hear
thought,
that
did
you
a good
actually
job.
feel for them means a lot to us, because we knew them, and we're there for the whole season. But on camera, a lot of people have a tough time feeling a lot of compassion when you can hear the tears. But you can't. With sunglasses and bandanas, you don't really get to see that. So the fact that you were able to pick up on that.
Yeah, I could hear it in their voice. I mean, I've been there before. We've been ripped off.
Yeah.
Anybody who does this fears not only the police, you feel ripped off. And I get the sense as well that the police don't care if we get ripped off, and they don't care if we get killed. It's kind of just one less headache for them.
Yeah, and there's...
And that's the feeling we get as
their
well.
whole year off of just going and ripping off 2 or 3 gardens everywhere. People that have never even been part of the communities in Northern California are passing through and coming to rip people off. In October, it's as close to a war zone in the peaceful hippie land that they've created up there as anything else.
So really, tell me, how What was the feeling like up there in October? How was the tension level?
Pretty high, though on a personal level for us, our relationship had blossomed as the plants had. So in October, we were closer to our growers than the initial start. When we first met everybody, it was a little more tense, and we would go back to LA and edit and then come back up, once a month for the whole grow season for 8 months. We had to sit down and regain their trust every time. And so when we showed up in October, just a day after yellow and pink got ripped off, we were very much under their scrutiny. They wanted to know, who'd you tell? And
yeah, who saw the footage? Anybody know? Do you have GPS in your car?
Right. And of course, this is a very small production of independent film, so there was just us, and we didn't show anybody. We wanted to keep this just as much of a secret as they did.
Now, your film...
Had a dinner, and, it's all good now.
Your film is free.
They know it wasn't us.
Right? People can watch it online for free.
Yep, it's on Hulu currently, and in the UK it'll soon be available on iTunes. And nationwide in the United States and Canada, you can get it on AT&T Uverse and Verizon Fios Video on Demand.
Excellent.
We've done some small deals. Again, it's a completely independent film, produced and directed by Jason Edwards, who brought my company the initial bid, and we went up and shot the thing and posted it for him with my business partner, Jeff Bunch. And now, because of the numbers we've received from Hulu, we're getting onto television finally through on-demand outlets, which is the opposite of how most films go.
Yeah, that's
They have
excellent.
a broadcast premiere, and then Hulu picks them up. So we went the exact opposite route and maintained ownership.
As a true independent.
Yeah. And we're open to any kind of broadcast licensing. We're really big in Canada. It's doing well on the cable VOD up there, so we'd love to do any kind of deals with.
Well, I certainly hope the Dope Tribe get a chance to view this, because
it's only an hour. It's a 55-minute film that takes you through the lives of an entire outdoor grow season of 3 separate farms that do it very differently. We had the young guys in their mid-30s that live off the generator and really do it kind of on their own land, of course.
Right.
100 acres, live in the woods for that season.
And now every single one you filmed, all of these people growing, whether they're in the National Forest or not, they were growing on their own land.
On their own private property, yes.
That's the way it
part
goes.
Part of the film that, people might see the bandanas and think it's a guerrilla grow. It's not. It's
no.
Landowners.
Yeah, and I really want to stress that, because I've stressed over the years with our show that I don't agree with growing in our national forest, because I live in a national forest.
Right.
So we have to take care of them, and I get that. And I really appreciate that the people stood up and used their own land, and they did their own thing.
They're organic growers, 100% organic, all 3 of ours that we followed in the Green Rush. Down to the use of bat guano for phosphorus. They are 100% organic.
Now, what time period did you film this through? Was it like last year or earlier this? Probably last year, I assume.
Well, the film is timeless in that it shows from April 4/20 to Halloween.
Right.
The course of a California season. Now, this summer was very cool. We shot the film majority in 2007 and 8, and we're finally able to go and get our interviews with judges. Judge James Gray makes a cameo in the film,
right,
as well as Dr. Donald Abrams, who is a cannabis researcher in San Francisco, and the only guy with a license to do so. So there's a process of shooting the season, getting the more information, again, as an independent. But it shows you exactly what happens April through October up here.
Excellent. Did they have an opinion on Proposition 19? Or had it really it hadn't surfaced its head yet when you were filming what had it?
Not necessarily, but legalization has always been on the tip of the tongue of every grower I've met, which I've met hundreds. I think that the majority of them understand that the price would drop considerably if it would have passed. The thing that most attracted me to the Prop 19 campaign was that it would allow all adults to grow. So, literally, by getting a couple of clones and watching our film, you could probably grow outdoor on your patio, had that passed. And I encourage a lot of people to do it anyways.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the entire premise of the Grow Report, when we started our show, as it has been when I was back before, Overgrow was the biggest website around. Even before those days, we've always been doing our best to try to teach people how to grow for themselves, take care of their own needs.
Grow responsibly. I don't personally have a medical marijuana card, so I'm one of those victims of the loss of Prop 19.
That would affect you without a doubt.
Right.
And I know a few other people that are in the same boat. And we were all for 19. We pushed for it. We advocated for Proposition 19. However, I also knew that it probably wouldn't pass.
Yeah.
But
as Bill Maher said on his show Friday, the squares win again.
Yeah, without a doubt. There was a very large conservative effort by a right-wing conservative majority.
Yep.
Who I have been arguing against for some time. And without a doubt, they put more people into a ballot box than we did. But when Los Angeles decided, because let's face it, LA at one time had 800 clubs. All those clubs were well stocked. When the clubs had to go back underground, they became delivery service or they became something else. That pot just didn't go away, so they have a list of people, a clientele, so they do still have a market. It's just now a completely underground market, and there's no chance
from
for
the shelf to the backpack down here.
Yeah, you guessed it.
Yeah. I was really sad to see the majority of existing co-ops and dispensaries down here voting no on 19.
Yeah, I was depressed, but I
people
expected
are going
it.
to get busted in the next 2 years, along with another 500,000 Californians.
So far, as of this morning, Harrison was back ahead of Cooley, but slight, and still a bunch more ballots to count.
It's crazy that it takes 2 weeks after the election when that one is so important.
Yeah.
I stood out and did some politicking with my "Not Cooley" signs near our voting place here in Santa Monica, and I hope it was enough. So
yeah, unfortunately, Cooley, I'm not sure how he ended up technically doing in Los Angeles. But I think the biggest defeat 19 had in Los Angeles was the dispensary owners and the street dealers wanting to keep their profits high. That's how we see it.
Absolutely. And I mean, even people down to the grow shops and suppliers speaking out against 19 because they're afraid big tobacco is going to just move to California.
Well, there was rumors that was spread that tobacco farmers were buying up land in Central Valley and had options.
19 would have allowed every adult to grow their own pot in their house.
Yes, it would have.
That's the thing that the whole community should have been able to get behind. I donated to the Yes on 19 campaign, and was sad to see they didn't even try a commercial to just say that one fact. Why not do a television commercial that says Prop 19 will allow you to grow your own pot?
Yep.
That's it. And they would have got the vote, because that's the simple fact.
We didn't get the youth turnout. The college kids didn't show up. Traditionally, they only show up at presidential elections.
11% is pretty sad, I got to say. I mean, I'm in my mid-30s, but I vote every year.
Yeah, I voted myself. Being over 50, I voted in every election since I was 18.
Sure.
And I've made sure my children vote.
How you don't go to every one? Why skip one?
Well, as far as I'm concerned, if you're a citizen of the country, it's your duty.
Yeah, it's your civic duty.
That's how we
only
look
job. Get out there. It's the only thing you can do in government is get out and vote.
Yeah, well, I apologize. My bird, I think, wanted to say hi this morning, it sounds like.
Okay.
He always manages to join our show.
Great.
But what's your next project you've got coming up?
I've recently been put in contact with a couple other documentary producers, and I think since 19 didn't pass, it actually gives our documentary a little more legs, as Prop 215 is the law of the land still, and that's what we
absolutely.
So we based, our government findings and all of our research in our film is off 215, and that's still the law of the land. So I want to show what's going on with distribution now.
Do you have plans to go up and do filming and showing how successful things are up in Oakland versus, say, San Diego, which is an absolute nightmare for patients?
Right. No, that's the exact idea, is to show California from just south of the Triangle. We covered that in the Green Rush, and the sequel will hopefully cover San Francisco to San Diego and how different it is per county, and potentially show street gang distribution, dispensary distribution, edible distribution, what's really going on with where the pot goes now that it's bagged up.
That would be excellent.
And we are currently working on it, and it's a great time right now. Everybody's got their harvest, and it's in place. And because of the popularity of the film, we've already had requests of people that are willing to open their lives without bandanas.
Wow, that would be a big step.
Yeah, it would be an excellent sequel, as we like to call it.
Excellent.
So we're working on it, and as an independent, it takes time to do these things, but.
And it takes money. Where does your money come from, may I ask?
Luckily, my production company, Bunch Cassidy, supplies HD equipment, camera equipment, and gear to other productions, and we use our rental money to fund our own projects.
Excellent.
Yeah, we're in our 7th year of business down here in Venice, and hopefully going to get another film up and running by this time next year.
That would be wonderful. And if you do, will you please come back on our show?
Yes, I would love to. I did my research watching your show or listening to your show.
And you still talk to me.
I've listened to everyone since the 100th episode, and now a regular subscriber.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not a fan of the Christian right. As far as I'm concerned, somebody's got to step up. And step up and tell it like it is. I'm blunt and I'm brutally honest. San Diego is a horrible, horrible situation down there, but it's not. It's as bad as it is here in San Bernardino, where the San Bernardino Sheriff's Office has decided that they're federal police officers and state law doesn't mean anything to them, and we're going to arrest everybody, make them spend their own money, make their life as miserable as possible, and then the district attorney will toss the case out of court. They've done that to Scott Bledsoe twice.
It's amazing to me because in the Green Rush, in our film, we shot the growers in Northern California, but we're drawn to San Bernardino and the Palm Desert area because of what's been going on out there the whole time since Prop 215 passed in 1996.
Yeah, and we now live in
so
San
we
Bernardino.
have federal district attorneys talking to the Palm Desert City Council about this same thing, and nothing has changed in 3 years.
Prohibition is profit for them.
Right. They need that federal money. They need to fuel the helicopters that supply the campaign against marijuana planting, which is also funded by Big Tobacco and Big Alcohol, by Budweiser, straight up. And nobody ever brings that up in the discussions about the DEA. What about camp that runs year-round now?
Yeah, and it doesn't change. Out here, we still constantly fight on a daily basis. My own council member doesn't even take my phone calls anymore. The city doesn't even return our Freedom of Information requests. We are on ignore, and when we show up, nobody will even talk to us in person.
Yeah, and unfortunately...
And they think that that's legal.
Well, yeah. The situation out there is very much the haves and have-nots, and it's not associated with Los Angeles, so people forget about it, I guess.
Yeah, well, believe it or not, San Bernardino is a Republican district for some reason.
Yep.
Because the Christian right out here have huge... They work really close with each churches. And the thing that we found is a lot of voter intimidation because it is also primarily a Hispanic area.
On the marijuana tip, though, the Christian right smokes pot too.
Well, yeah, but
I mean, like,
but they don't
I always
want to
tell
admit
people whether
it.
you smoke or not, you know somebody you don't want to see locked up for it. So to blame the Christian right for marijuana prohibition, I think it's more than that, because Glenn Beck is for the legalization of pot, you know.
But the Christian right, as a conservative effort,
Sure.
have every Sunday they put people in the pews. They use their new church newsletters. We've gotten our hands on several. And they do have a conservative effort. Paul Chabot and several others make no qualms about it. They use their tithes and the money from their churches and from the Christian right to get into sheriff's departments. They use their ties of religion to push their agenda of anybody who smokes marijuana is a criminal and needs to go to jail.
Well, fortunately, I really believe this next effort on behalf of marijuana advocates, the Compassionate Hemp Act that was written by Jack Hara for 2012, will alleviate some of that, because once they see that there's real business, real industry in hemp and cannabis production, the Bibles will be made of hemp, the money will be made of hemp again, and
well, that would be good to see. I've read through some of that. I don't remember all of it, and I'm sure there were some other changes last time I saw it.
It addresses very specific things regarding like huge corporations like General Mills and Monsanto taking over the control of what kind of cannabis people can grow. Luckily, you know, having been exposed through our film again, The Green Rush, to growers that have had their own strains for 30 years, I know for a fact that there's no way a huge seed company is going to come in and make it so that you can only get this kind of pot. I mean, there's so many clones that are proven true, non-genetically modified out there right now that
oh, absolutely, and growing techniques and
happen
styles.
to being like less quality. I don't get it. It's an unfounded argument.
It's an extremely unfounded argument.
To think that we're all going to get just suckered like that, and in 5 years you only get government pot, I really have a hard time believing that anybody would.
Well, that's one way, though, to turn off the youth vote.
Exactly.
So
through all efforts that I've seen in the last 90 days.
Telling a lie is nothing new for them. That's how they do everything.
It's not necessarily a lie. It's a conspiracy theory, right? And some people really like to have their theories out there, like Jesse Ventura, and preach them as truth, when in fact it's a complete fear.
It's not a logical progression, let's put it that way.
Right. Bet big to win big, you know. Until we actually try something different, you can have all the theories in the world as to what's going to happen if.
Well, 2012 will be back on the ballot in 2012.
Yep.
And 2012
will be another 2 million people arrested for it in the next 2 years. No big deal.
Yeah, and there will be an additional $1 billion spent to try to eradicate it or more.
And hopefully not too many more Mexicans have to die.
I hope not. I hope not.
I think
this planet is a tad on the small side.
Legislation of this nature works so well for all of North America. Canada is on the verge of passing real laws to legalize, decriminalize, and Mexico is waiting for us to make up our mind.
Well, Mexico already decriminalized small amounts of all drugs a couple years ago.
Well, if the three of us, Canada, the U.S., and Mexico, could get on board with real drug law repeal, I mean, we need to just change it. And hemp production would say, North America would be...
We need hemp. We need to grow hemp. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, you can import it. You can even buy hemp drinks at Trader Joe's, but it didn't come from here. The hemp grown in the U.S., it's absurd.
I know. There's that little hole-in-the-wall restaurant there in along PCH where I can get a hemp burger.
Wow.
That is just outstanding. It's completely vegan, and I'm a meat eater, but I liked that. It was really good, and they bring it in from... They bring the seeds and everything in from Canada.
Yep. Hemp oil made from seeds.
Yeah, I've seen cars run on hemp and all kinds of things that hemp itself can do. And hemp is the cousin. It can't get away from the stigma that hemp is still in part of the cannabis family.
Yeah.
It might be the cousin, but
and unfortunately, Proposition 19 didn't address hemp at all.
No.
And that's where they kind of blew it. If they'd have said that the same laws would apply cannabis and hemp production, of course,
I would have liked to have seen 19
of
written a lot better than it was, but then again, sometimes, Prop 215 passed with a very vague message too.
Sure.
And then it's been embroiled in court battles ever since because of that vague message.
Yeah.
And it will be still. I do expect, though, that before 2012 comes around, 215 will be settled state law. Because the state Supreme Court has to make rulings, and a lot of them said they would not rule until after the elections.
Sure.
So we are still waiting on a definitive from Claremont. We're waiting on, now that Anaheim can go back to court again, and the judge can't throw it out because it's federal law. They've been told that, but let's find out if cities can actually outright ban collectives. I believe that's an illegal act because you can't ban an abortion center because you don't like it.
Right.
So they should not have a right to ban legal collectives and dispensaries.
If it ends up in the hands of the medical community, I think that is a hugely important step, and that we'll be able to experiment with cannabis at more than just the federal level using NIDA marijuana.
Absolutely.
Use, if 215 goes into law, then private scientific firms will be able to experiment with cannabinoids, and something good will come from that. I really like the way Hawaii is going with trying to take marijuana regulation out of the hands of law enforcement and make it a health department issue, where
that would be a winner.
Have a collective or marijuana bakery, you get an A, B, or C, just like we have here in California. You come in and the pot's all right, you got a B rating, but it's a health department issue if it goes to the medical community.
Well, I like the idea that Oakland has their facility where they can test, where they can have everything tested for molds, poisons, and they test the THC percentage.
But on the medical end, none of their findings will be published unless the pot is provided from NIDA.
True.
So yeah, there's a lot of work to do, but I think the doctors are winning this one for sure still.
Yeah, I sent a letter off to Paul Armiano about a week ago, and I asked him, but he hasn't replied back yet, but what I basically thought, and I want to know what you think. With all of the raids in our national forest, pulling plant after plant after plant and then destroying it. Well, we have Proposition 215 in California. If you really want to make a dent in the drug cartels, instead of destroying that marijuana, why not give it to a legal dispensary and a distribution center who can in turn give that marijuana that was grown illegally in our national forests to patients who can use it? I think that would be a 1-2 knockout punch to them, in my opinion.
That is a really, really great idea. I don't know who you go to talk to about that, but that's the first time I've actually heard anyone say something like that. It makes more sense.
It's a 1-2 knockout. Not only does it take their profit by taking it away from them, it gets rid of the street dealer because now it's in legal, tracked dispensaries, and the dispensary can have, a pittance for it, Of
course, I'm sure an attorney would tell you that sets up precedent for them to just take it.
It's going to be it would be an interesting, but if the law spells it out clean enough. But then again, no matter how we spell laws out, everything is subject to a judicial review, and even that opinion is subject to appeals. So it's all legal until a judge says it's not. That's kind of the way that it's looking. But I wrote it out, and I kind of asked him if it would be an interesting concept. So.
It's a very interesting concept, and one that I think should be further looked into.
Because if California patrol people, anybody in California law enforcement, if they aid and assist the federal government in violating California law, in my opinion, they should be stripped of their rights.
At it, from a loophole standard, which is, I'm sure there's many, but having witnessed camp up in Northern California and finally understanding how it works, and that they'll be looking for the mafia gardens on government land.
Absolutely.
When they find those gardens nice and ripe, or just not ripe in September, where the street value is literally nothing because the plant is not. But they take the whole weight roots and everything and give it a street value.
Right.
They could at least, let it ripen.
Yeah, the dirt's still attached to the roots.
Research facility.
Sure, it could be given to patients in hospitals. It could be done. A lot of things could be done with it that would deal a 1-2 blow to the illegal growers, and then let the legal growers on their own land alone.
The whole town around that area. When they land and they find the garden that they want to get, they get every mom and pop around them too. It's not just on government land. When they decide to land up there, they hit every mom and pop.
And they don't draw a distinction of borders and boundaries.
No. Nope. They put out.
I must say, I thank you for the movie that you've put together. It's greenrushmovie.com.
Yep.
And it is an excellent portrayal of where your medical marijuana comes from, people.
Yep, the good Salmon Creek Black Purple Urkel, grown from the source. They say the further it gets away from its mom, the stronger it smells.
Wow. We're going to have to give that a try someday.
Yeah, it's tough to show what a mature plant looks like on video when compared to standing next to it.
Yes.
Able to smell it, touch it. You can't really do that on film. I mean,
unless you have a way to zoom in on trichomes, because that's the only way you'll know when it's actually truly
down to the
ready to go.
Level. I'll try to get that lens attachment for the sequel.
Yeah, that would be interesting. So when you guys find yourself up and around San Bernardino, drop us a line and give us a call.
Okay.
Mrs. Z and I live in the San Bernardino forest.
I spend about half of my year working doing reality television out in Las Vegas. So I'm very familiar with everything from here.
Yeah, we've never hid where we live, just our faces haven't been out there.
Okay. Well, can't wait to someday meet you in person. If you ever come to the beach, we're right here in Santa Monica.
Absolutely. I look forward to it. Everybody, it's greenrushmovie.com. And if you guys haven't checked this out, you've got to. He's got a thread on our forum. Took a poll. A lot of people liked it, but we need to get more people watching it. This is an excellent project. It's a really good movie.
Thank you very much. I'll try to be better. This blogging and self-promotion is kind of new to me.
Yeah, it's not. I do a horrible job at it myself.
It is fun, though. Our YouTube channel also features over 45 now, I think, deleted scenes. I just put 3 up yesterday, including a 15-minute uncut interview with Dr. Donald Abrams.
Ooh, that would be a good one to catch. What's your YouTube channel under, then?
Green Rush Movie at YouTube. We're on Twitter, of course. You can like us on Facebook. And those in the U.S. can watch us on Hulu and Netflix coming up before Christmas, I hope, and international market.
And I see they can even buy a DVD.
Yes, you can buy a DVD from our distributor, IndieFlix, which is out of Seattle. But go onto the YouTube channel and watch all the free deleted scenes and get an idea. It includes our original pilot where the growers are wearing presidential masks. Schwarzenegger and Ronald Reagan. When we first met with them, that was how they wanted to conceal their identity. And
I get the humor in that.
We talked them out of it.
But most people wouldn't.
We wanted to make it a important film that people would take seriously. And the bandanas show them as quasi-outlaws they are without poking too much fun.
And everyone holds a medical license, and they're all growing within their legal limits, but
That's right.
You still fear for your life every day. Every one of us do.
Yep.
Unfortunately, some of us, we still have our own patient collective, and it's an indoor grow. We still don't do anything outdoors yet.
Oregon has made great steps for collectives, allowing 18 plants per caregiver up to 5 in one space, so 90. And they've actually written in legislation that allows those collectives to sell in order to be reimbursed for their electric bills.
Oh, that's
they're really getting specific up there with the laws, and Washington State will have a great one in 2012 as well.
Excellent. Well, if you have anything else that you want to promote or talk about, let us know. I would love to have you back on our show.
Okay, great. It was really great being on. The UK audience, Dope Fiend, it's coming to you soon. You know, I'm doing the distribution as one guy, so I'd love to get it out to Europe and abroad so that people all over the world can tell us.
Okay, our Dope Fiend audience, please, Dope Tribers, help this guy out. We need to get this thing. This guy needs to go viral around the world. People need to know it's not just showing, you know, a bunch of greedy growers. I mean, these are real people.
Yeah. And there's some good comic relief in it. You know, Mr. Green in our film is probably my favorite character out of them all, just because of the way he speaks, dropping F-bombs just nonstop, because that's just the way he talks.
Yeah, well, that's my show.
Yeah, he's a kid from Santa Cruz that just is a surfer dude, stoner dude, and hilarious.
Yeah, over 30 years we've been fighting to legalize this and educate the world, and after that length of time, I've just grown tired, I've grown old and grumpy at it, and it is what it is anymore. Tell it like it is.
It's unfortunate what the Sublime song, you can't fight against the youth. Strong, and we're rude people.
Well, thank you for your time and being on the Grow Report.
All right. Thank you, Z. Good night, Mrs. Z.
Thank you. Okay, don't forget about the rest of the Dope Fiend family of shows. There's a new Dopecast every Monday hosted by the Dope Fiend.
Yep. Thursdays, it's Lefty's Lounge, the man with the golden voice.
And on the last Thursday of every month is BB's Bungalow, hosted by Black Beauty from Down Under.
Fridays, we still have Psychonautica, hosted by Max Freakout.
And let's not forget about Pothead's Coffee Shop, too. You can find another new show the second Saturday of every month.
And you'll find all of them at dopefiend.co.uk. All of us are there, even the Grow Report.
Yep.
Or you can find them under iTunes, on iTunes under the Dope Fiend. But, you know, we have a spot on our shows, on our forum, that's for shows that aren't part of the Dope Fiend. These are independents. But these are shows that you, the listener, have suggested that we bring into our family, and we've been thrilled to death with them.
Yeah.
Shows like Sea Realm with KMO and Psychedelic Salon with Lorenzo.
And Shroom with a View.
And Shroom with a View with Nexus and his friends. So there's a lot of great things going on. And there's a new podcast out that KMO's doing on zombies.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
If you're a big zombie fan,
I can't remember
it.
the name, but we'll get it in future shows.
Yeah.
It's on zombies, and I'll put a link to it up. I think there's a link to it already up in our friends section on the forum.
Excellent.
So remember to look for another Grow Report next Sunday right here on the Dope Fiend network of shows at www.dopefiend.co.uk or on iTunes under Dope Fiend. So until next time, stay safe.
Stay stoned.
Keep on growing. Peace.
Bye-bye.
I got little pots of pie spread out all over the lot, 'cause I'm growing marijuana in my yard. Well, I got the seed from Mexico, stuck it in some dirt and let it grow. I put it in my garden with my peppers and my peas, and I get all the smoke I need for free. 'Cause I'm growing marijuana in my yard, growing marijuana in my yard. We keep it where no one can see, so let's keep this between you and me. But I'm growing marijuana in my yard, 'cause I'm growing marijuana in my yard. But I can't tell my boss or I'll get fired. I don't grow much, just what I use. I work all day, and when I'm through, I smoke some marijuana from my yard. Yeah. wants to talk to me. He says, how you gonna smoke up all that weed? He says, money's what you're in it for. Don't you know we're in a war? Now I'm gonna haul your ass downtown with me. And I said, hey man, what is it to you? How do I infringe on what you do? Well, I beg your pardon if you're offended by my garden, but I just can't grow Prozac in my yard. So I grow my own medicine in my yard. I give some to my neighbor for his heart. I share it with my grandma who keeps it from her son, 'cause we all know that stuff's against the law. Well, now there's nothing growing in my yard, 'cause the cops took all my land and both my cars. Now I have to buy my pot from a teenager in a parking lot who's growing marijuana in his yard. Oh, anyone can grow it in their yard. Hey, I can show you how, it ain't hard. Never mind the president, let's overgrow the government and all grow marijuana in our yard. Let's grow some marijuana